Previously on the compass of kraM. The last couple of weeks we've been off. Me has not been feeling well. Me has been off a little bit. Come to find out that I've been in the process or have developed a couple, two or three kidney stones, and been going through that process. And I'm learning because I've never been through it before. But, of course, once you go through something like this, you hear all the horror stories, the war stories, I could go on this one, but it's interesting. A couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, as a matter of fact, tomorrow morning, I was actually supposed to be doing the next chapter, and which comes on Thursdays, and I produce that and a part of it, and I come on, talk a little bit, and I was having extreme internet problems 2 weeks ago on that, and I just never do. Everything's always great. We have the highest speed we can buy, and everything is very stable and with internet. And that morning it was just like out, and I just couldn't maintain, and I couldn't stay on the show. So Sandy and Sherry and Joe, they went ahead and did the show without me, and within that next half hour after it started, I started getting a pain in my lower right hand back side, and oh my gosh, it got horrible, really bad. And that was Thursday morning, and by Saturday I was in an enormous amount of pain. We just couldn't figure it out, and I ended up in the hospital, in the emergency room on Saturday afternoon, a couple of weeks ago, and they put me, it's so funny. It's one of those things where it's like you have something wrong with your car, you hear something wrong, or it's not running just right, and you take your car in to get it fixed, and you get in there and they can't find anything wrong. The sound's not there anymore, and it's running perfectly fine, and there's something been happening. Well, it was kind of the same before. The reason that we went to the emergency room was because I was hurting so bad, and then I we got to the emergency room, and it really wasn't hurting so bad anymore. We got in the emergency room, and they're asking, that like they always do, what's your pain between 1 and 10? And it's like, well, when I left, it was about a 9, and now I'm sitting here, and it's about a 4. And it's like that car thing, where you take it in to get them to look at it, and so I was in the emergency room for 10 hours. Of course, it did kind of flare back up, and they ran me through all kinds of different tests and stuff, because I was having a lot of trouble with my stomach. Also, they originally they never mentioned kidney stones. They thought it was gallbladder stones, and they talked to me about all of this, and never even mentioned it. And then they went through the test, and the lady that was doing the sonogram kept saying kidney stones. And I said, I don't think it's kidney stones. They're saying gallbladder. And she, I don't know. Sure enough, the tests come back, and it's kidney stones, and it's a couple of them, and one in each kidney, and all this kind of stuff, and blah blah blah. And they put me on morphine, and I don't know if you've heard me say, but morphine and pain pills are they really don't do away with the pain. They just make you feel like you don't care if you have any pain. And so that they had the morphine going through my IV and all that, and it's so funny because it just didn't take care of anything there for a while. Anyway, 10 hours in the emergency room. We got out, set up, but that was on Saturday. So this is weekend. You can't do anything on the weekend except the emergency room. Monday, got a hold of a urologist and started the process. Well, the process being of gone through, that's been a week ago last Monday, and finally talked to them again, and they're setting up a procedure for me for this Friday to go in there and see what's going on, because I'm still hurt, but not real bad. Well, hallelujah. Thank you, Father. I've started passing the kidney stones this morning. And you're saying, well, what are you doing in your show? What we hear, that's pretty bad. Honestly, it's not been a big deal at all. And I'm passing them. And so if you wonder what's happened for the past couple of weeks, that's been what's going on with me. I'm in the process of passing them. Hopefully I won't have to go through the procedure this Friday. So that's it's not so much previously on as the past couple of weeks. Hey, stay tuned. Pass the word. My daughter is joining us this morning, and we're going to have some fun. So we'll be right back.
I like to teach the world to sing. Sing with me.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside, come inside.
I like it when we have a whole group of people, because down in the bottom we have all these little you get to see us up here in the big screen, but what we see is a bunch of little screens down in the bottom. And if you have several people, you have a whole bunch of people down there. And when that song's playing, you hear all these, you actually see a whole bunch of bobbleheads. You know, it's like a bunch of boxes of bobbleheads down there when that's going on. So yeah, there you go. Good morning, my daughter. What's up?
Good morning.
What's up with y'all?
I was completely distracted during your story by your hat, because I know exactly what I can just.
I was gonna wait to show you this, because you can only see the brim. But
nope, I know.
You remember where we got that?
Yeah, when we met Steve, and we met Blue, and we met SpongeBob, and we met all my favorite characters.
Steve and Blue and all those. Oh my gosh, girl, that's been many a year ago that me and Sarah and her mom all went to Orlando and went to Nickelodeon and had a blast. We still have videos. We were looking at those videos not too long ago, where you get to sit at one of those shows or something for Nickelodeon, and
we got to watch one of the slime shows.
That's right. I was hoping you were going to get picked for that and go down, anyway, or I was going to get picked for it. I mean,
I probably would have been like Emmett though and not done it.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, I was going to put a hat on this morning, and I thought, hey, you know what? Looky there. I remember. I have more of this than long. I mean, it's probably in as good a condition right now as the day we got it way back then. So
I remember you lost a hat on a ride once.
Did I really?
Yeah, we were on one of those like river rafting rides, and your hat fell off or something.
Really? I don't remember that, but I don't doubt it in the very least at all. I've lost various articles of clothing throughout my 65 years. So
You got your beer goggles on.
no, I never had them. Never had any. Never attempted to buy one of those hats with the beer cans on it and all that. Never, nah, not interested in the very, very least. But it's one of those things. So, how's life?
Chaotic right now.
Yeah, especially since it's just one you and your other one is gone for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Cameron, he is the director of creative media for Lion and Lamb Ministries. He got his title recently, and he he was very excited about that. And so anyways, he is the filmer for Monty and any teachers that come through Lion and Lamb.
Monty Judah of Lion and Lamb Ministries. Monty Judah.
Yeah, Monty Judah. Yeah, Monty Judah.
Not everybody knows Monty like we do.
Right, I guess he's been in my life forever. So
I know it. I know. Yeah, I know.
But anyway, so Monty is currently on a tour with Wisdom and Torah with Rico Cortez in Israel. And so Cameron is literally on a work trip in Israel and just enjoying himself to the max. And so he's filming everything, editing some things. Actually, Monty's last Messianic World update that's up online is from Israel. So that's pretty cool.
Very cool. So
anyways, yeah, he's having a blast. He got to order some awesome camera gear for the trip and he's in heaven.
I'll bet.
But in fact, we had to get this app called WhatsApp. And I don't feel like a young person anymore, because when I say that, people under 21 go, "You've never heard of that?" And I'm like, okay, I'm nearing 30. Like it's just a thing. Like, but it's an app that helps you talk internationally without running up your cell phone bill. So
really?
Yeah, so we have this app, and he actually just texted me and said, "Good morning."
Wow, that is very cool. Yeah, because when you said it, I have no idea what that is. So,
he is 8 hours ahead of us.
So
right. When I'm waking up in the morning, it's like mid-afternoon for him. When he's going to bed at night, it's my mid-afternoon. It's it's kind of crazy. So we don't get a lot of time to talk, but it's been a little bit here and there. So
yeah, I've been a couple of times. So your mom and your mom, of course, like you said, has never been. Your mom's never been. So and I've been a couple of times. So we've been through all of that. Ours was with phone calls, though.
Right.
Hospice, that type of thing. And of course, we've got our stories of different things. So has he mentioned any specific places where they've gone yet?
Yeah, he's been to Tiberias. That was something
that's one of the first places.
He really enjoyed that. He's gotten some beautiful pictures of the land, and actually himself up on like a mountain, with it back, and then he just the other day, they got to Jerusalem, and he and Tito Cortez, Rico's son, Tito, right. They were not, they're like the youngest on the group on the whole thing. And they were like, it's like after dinner, but we're just now in Jerusalem. And so they decided to just go out and explore the town. And before the tour started in Jerusalem. And so Tito kind of took them on foot and showed them around all kinds of cool places. And they actually went to the Western Wall before the tour, and he loved it. He was just like, this is amazing, getting to go without a tour and everything. But then when he went the next day with the tour, it was amazing. You know, you have to have a kippah to go near the Western Wall or whatever,
Right,
you know, your head covered in some way.
right.
And which Cameron's not really into tradition. So he doesn't do the kippah. He doesn't do a tallit or anything like that. So he didn't have those things with him. And so they give you little loners. And so he put it on his head and he was like, it keeps falling off of my head. It keeps falling off. He was so frustrated with it, but he found the humor in it, you know, and just loved it.
Very cool. Very
It
cool.
was, I'm loving hearing his stories, you know, especially the stories that he doesn't put on Facebook, you know, just for me, and, you know, and so.
Well, there is with my hair, and usually it's thin hair. If it's pretty thick, you can do it. Matter of fact, I've never known Monty Judah to ever use clips.
Oh,
he put a kippah up there, and it's there for hours, and he may adjust it a little bit or something like that. But every single one of my kippahs have hair clips, bobby pins. Every single one of them. It makes no difference what it is. And I have 11 kippahs.
Oh yeah.
But every one of them have 4 for one in each corner. And
yeah, and Cameron's got the hair to do that.
What's that?
And Cameron's got the hair to do that.
Yeah,
He's got thick hair.
I actually have enough hair left to keep wearing them, and I wear them for services, but I always put the clip in there, and because and it holds it solid. I mean, it never moves or anything.
Yeah, when we go to you know, we have service on Saturday, and then we also go to church on Sunday every single week. And whether I'm volunteering or I'm in the service, I always have my head covered. I always like to have my head covered, and, you know, I wear my Sunday best. I still kind of go by that. When I'm going before the Lord, I like I don't like to wear jeans. A lot of people wear jeans and a t-shirt to church these days, you know.
Sure.
And I'm not into that. I like to wear a skirt or a dress or something. And people have asked me recently a lot, actually, why do you wear a head covering when you go to your hair covers your head? Your husband is your covering. And I've loved it because I've really gotten into understanding why I do things in my relationship with God. And I've come to realize that my head covering for me is a symbol of the respect that I show for being under my husband's covering. And so it's tradition, if you will. Right. It's not, I do not believe it's a commandment or anything like that, but I like to show this symbol of being under my husband's covering and respecting him when I go into worship or prayer or anything. And like I said, I wear it on Sundays as well, because I'm serving the same God. I'm going to worship the same God and everything. So anyway,
right.
My little tangent.
Well, it's kind of the same thing, you know, since last year, since you were here, and since last June, I've been going to a local church here, a real big church, and semi-regularly. And I always wear a kippah, and of course I wear my tzitzit, and a lot of it too. You know, people ask me questions, and one of the real early times when I first started learning all of this, and that is like it's like 25 years now. Because it was 1995 when I first went to Israel. Yeah, exactly. And when I first went to Israel and came back, and it's like, we're gonna check this out. We're gonna figure out what we want to do, and that's like almost. It's about 24 and a half years, because that was Feast of Tabernacles when I went over. But it's one of the things I found out soon afterwards is that the kippah the head covering is, and there's a couple of different kinds. It's the ones that lay
Yeah.
flat with the rim around it, and then there's the cup. And
Yeah.
it's not only called kippah or kippah, but it's also called a yarmulke, and the yarmulke is a Yiddish word. Now, I have forgotten, and I apologize for this, but kippah literally has, as with all Hebrew words or Yiddish words, they all have meanings. And I can't remember which one is which, but one of those two words means the palm of God, and the other one means um, standing under,
Yeah.
or something very similar to standing under. So when I'm asked why do I wear a kippah, since it's not in the Bible and it is tradition, it's very similar to what you had just explained about your head covering. Is that with me knowing that it's on, I'm standing under the palm of God on my head.
Right. Because
And
you have, even though you're a head of a household, you have a head of your heart. You know? Yeah.
exactly. And so, yeah, that's what I go by. That's, to me, that's what's
Yeah.
value. That is the value that I have. Anyway, that's
Watch a
very
couple
cool.
weeks ago if you don't get that.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Well, I'm actually working on a very extensive teaching that involves ecosystems and culture and value, and
Yeah.
how the three of those mesh together and create our entire world, our life and our
Right.
lifestyle and everything. And eventually I'm going to put that together. So I'm kind of excited about that, but I'm still working on it. Anyway, I was actually going to start the show off when you got on there by saying shoot him. And I was going to have you
Shoot 'em again.
shoot him again. It was, I don't even have to ask you to say it, but
Nope.
my daughter grew up in the years that 24 was on. And anybody that is familiar with Kiefer Sutherland and 24, it had to be what, in the second or third season, when Jack Bauer's daughter was in a bedroom and she was in a closet and there was a guy chasing her, and she found a gun, or she got a gun some way. The guy got in, and she was on the phone with her dad, and said, "What do I do? What do I do?" And he says, "Shoot him." And so she shot him, and he says, "What do I do? What do I do?" Shoot him again.
Yep. I think of that if I ever, like, Cameron's gone. I think of, like, okay, what if we have a home invasion? Well, I just keep shooting him until he doesn't move anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of been of a running thing with Sarah and I our entire lives. Is all I have to do is say shoot him, and Sarah will respond with shoot him again. Anyway, it's kind of a little lead in here to something that I haven't done in a while, but I'd like to cover every week if possible. Is and as Sarah knows, and as she grew up in this household, is that I am a major movie freak, fanatic.
Guru.
Guru means God, and I'm not a god, but I love movies with a passion. Your mom and I had been talking about, like, which, speaking of your mom, she could care less. She could care less. She has her little shows that she likes, but if she never saw another movie, she'd be fine. If she never really saw another TV show, she'd be fine. But I like storylines, and in our lifestyle, I love that psychology behind even fictional, fictional and non-fictional both. I love what characters people come up with, what they do with those characters. There's a new movie out I haven't seen yet, but it's called Knives Out, and I want to see it because it's kind of like it's a whodunit movie. In other words, so you gather together, somebody's been killed, there's been a murder, and you have one guy, an inspector guy, that has to gather all the suspects together and go through all the
mystery.
What's that?
A murder mystery.
But it's got a whodunit. It's another way to call it. And I haven't seen that yet, and I want to see it because every single character is completely different than the next, and that is what the storyline works on, is those personalities and those characters, and how does that fit in, and you get to go along with it. And that's what I love about movies and TV shows, is I love that interaction. I love the story writing of it all. And so in that, I watch several different on a regular basis. I watch several movies a week, and there are specific shows and documentaries that your mom and I watch, and I know you and Cameron do too, and you watch over Central Park.
So I grabbed this cup today.
Friends, you bet. And I know that you monitor what the boys watch, very, very, very close. And Sarah has two boys and very young, and they love their shows, but boy, she knows exactly what they're watching every minute that they're watching. And so that's extremely important. But I want to go over a couple that I've seen this week, and then I want to talk about a couple that you and I have seen together real briefly, and we'll just take it as long and whatever it takes to do here, because this show is different every week and we do different stuff, and if we get to other parts of the show that we do on a regular basis, we do, and if we don't, we don't. But on the top of my list that we saw at the end of the week last week, we saw It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Yeah.
Have you seen that yet?
Not yet.
Okay, I was probably halfway through the movie when I said, this is literally the most stressful movie I've ever watched in my life.
Wow.
It was, I mean, I was squirming in my chair, and you know me, it's like, if I'm not happy about this, it's like you're going to force me to have to keep going on it.
So a positive gravity.
Well, no, yeah, well, Gravity, that's a whole story. That's within the top 5 of my favorite movies, but Sarah was with me when I watched that, and I literally was on the edge of my seat wanting to rip the screen off of there. But
yeah,
and then I went out and bought the movie as soon as it came out, full price, which I never do. I bought the movie, and I watch it once, maybe twice a year since that's been. But it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. This literally, if you're thinking this is a documentary about Fred Rogers, and in movie form, and you want your whole family to go to witness this and everything. Now there is an incredible documentary about Fred Rogers, and I think it's on Netflix.
I've seen that one.
It's really good. This is not that. This is based on, I think it said based on actual events is what it is. And Tom Hanks, great character actor, did an impeccable job of playing Fred Rogers. It was like he was born for this part. Anyway, it's not about that. It's about a reporter a writer for Esquire magazine that wrote an actual article for them, and this guy never wrote anything nice about anybody. He always went and interviewed them, and then the article came out and it was not really all that great for them, and everybody complained and nobody wanted him to interview them because they knew the article was not going to be in their favor. Well, Fred Rogers found out that Esquire wanted to interview him, and it was this guy, and Fred Rogers said, yeah, but he read all these articles, the guy's articles, and I guess saw videos or whatever, but he welcomed the guy. Come on, let's do it. And my problem with the whole thing with Fred Rogers is that he was in control of the entire situation the entire time. Now, I've interviewed hundreds of people. And the interviewer is supposed to be the one in control of the interview all the time, all the questions, everything. Fred has this impeccable way of turning it around. In other words, you're seeing right away the guy's interviewing him, and within a couple of questions, now Fred Rogers is asking him questions, and he's now in charge of the interview. And it's almost like he's a psychologist that is anyway, not my favorite movie. So in my estimation, I am not recommending this movie, but because of me. Both Adina and Tova. Tova was here over at the house with the three of us watched it. Both of them loved it. They thought it was great. But of course, your mom, she loves that kind of stuff. And the Fred Rogers character was really well done and really good, but it was the simple fact that he didn't have control over it. Anyway, Marilyn, thanks for coming in. We'll talk to you later. And so anyway, that's my pick on that. I really didn't like this movie at all, and I will never watch it again. And but I'm not recommending you don't watch it, because out of three of us, my wife and Tova absolutely loved it, and I hated it with a passion. So anyway, I'm not saying don't watch it, but be aware that it's not just a documentary about Fred Rogers
or a reenactment or anything like that. Yeah,
it's based on actual events. This really did happen. But anyway, another movie I saw this week was Midway, and my thought, now seeing the previews, I thought I like this. It's cool. I like those type of movies, and I'm always real interested, especially when history is depicted in as close to actual matters as what it was. And I love the production. Once again, what I love about movies is the production of it. I like the characters. I like who portrays them and what they do. And the only problem is that I went into it with, why are we making another Pearl Harbor movie? I mean, Pearl Harbor was done. And it was one of the best movies. I own the movie. It's one of the best movies out there. Great relationships in the movie. Very well done for the time that it was produced and the whole thing. And I realized that our digital graphics for movies are far exceeding every 5 years. They double, triple, quadruple in what you can do in a movie. And it's amazing what they could do with this movie. But what I realized is Midway, and I knew this history but didn't really know this history, is that Midway was a following battle because of Pearl Harbor. And the Battle of Pearl Harbor starts within the first 5 minutes of the movie. Whereas when you watch the movie Pearl Harbor, it builds up characters and builds up the movie until you get to the actual battle at Pearl, which there wasn't much of a battle. All it was Japanese annihilating our fleet. And so what was interesting is that the movie basically starts right off with these people in Pearl Harbor on the ships. They look up and the sky is full of Japanese planes bombing them. And, another reason I love movies is because it makes me feel like oh my gosh, how would I feel if I were right there right at that time? Now, I've been to Pearl Harbor. I've seen those ships. I've seen the sunk ships. I've been right where it all happened, and I can visualize it, the whole thing. I was in the Navy for 3 years. I know what it's like to be I was on 2 different ships. I know what that's like. I can literally be there. But I don't even think there's a way any of us can even imagine what it's like to be just going about your everyday life, your everyday work, and all of a sudden you hear these shoot, 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 shoot of the bomb, shooting guns and everything at you, and the bomb, and then everything blowing up around you. And 10 to 15 minutes, everything around you is blowing up. I can't imagine that. Anyway, Midway is a place in the Pacific Ocean that is midway in between the Japanese area and Hawaii and all the Cook Islands and all that around there. And it is a naval base for the U.S. Navy and everything. And it's almost another Pearl Harbor. So what the Japanese was trying to do is to wipe all of that out. Then they were going to go to the United States and attack the United States and be in control. And it's a world war. It's all done. We're now Japanese, and we'd either be dead or Japanese right now. But that's what it was about, is that they were able to find out what that this was going to happen. And that.
It's in your bed.
What's going on?
Shepherd can't find his cup and his room is dark. And here, take this.
Well, if you have to go take care.
It's okay.
Of it. It's okay.
I just gave him my phone. It's
All
okay.
Right. That's good. All right. Okay, so that's the other one. It was filmed even though the graphics were amazing, the film was almost as though it was back in that time. It was well done. The acting was well done. It was good. It went so fast that the average person that is not a huge history buff of this war and of this time would have been bored out of their minds after the Pearl Harbor attack. Once you see that, which really keeps your attention, after that, it's like bored out of your mind trying to figure all this out. So unless you're a guy that just really loves war movies and stuff, which I'm not a real big war movie fan, but I'll watch them and enjoy them. Anyway, that's my deal on Midway. The other one I just saw yesterday, only because I'm huge on this, is I saw the last Terminator movie. And if you're a Terminator fan, from what I understand by other reviews, is they thought this was literally the best of all of the. I think this is maybe number 6 or 7 of the
Wow.
that in itself. But
I've never seen any of them.
you've never seen any of them. Well, it was cool because it's like, where are you gonna go? You've already exhausted the storyline. Where are you gonna go with a new one? You know, and so I'll only give you this without ruining the movie for you, because I didn't know this before I went into it. Is that it's basically almost starting over. It's almost starting over from the first one. And Sarah Connor, the person that plays Sarah Connor, and this is absolutely horrible that I can't remember her name, but she, the same actress that played Sarah Connor, who is the original mother of the guy that was supposed to save the world and everything. She was in the first 3 and has not been in any of the other ones until this one. And I'm glad she waited. It was worth the wait for me. Nobody else thought her acting was good. I thought it was impactful. I thought it was great. Highly recommend this movie. The storyline is really good. You just know that they're starting over. And from a different point of view, and it's good. It really is. I had fun with this movie. So anyway, let's jump to one you and I do, and we're just having fun with this. Sarah and I like series. We like you have movies, you have TV shows, which practically every TV show made is it's a series show. In other words, every week is built on the characters and what you know about them, and it would be hard. Most TV shows, if they're in their second, third, fourth, fifth season, it would be hard to start somewhere without not knowing, because that's the way TV shows are built anymore. When I was growing up, it really wasn't that way. But series shows anymore are almost like what we used to call mini series. When I was growing up, and all you had was TV to watch, it was TV shows. They had specific TV shows, and you came on and you watched these shows. Some of them you like, some of them you don't like, like normal. But then they would come up with a mini series. So it would be like, on an average, maybe 3 weeks in a row, or 3 nights in a row. Sometimes they would have this special storyline of something, and you would get to, it's almost like a long one show, because it was an hour to 2 hours, and you got to watch 3 of them in a row, or 3 of them in a week. And it was a long movie, or like that, but you watch it in sections. And that's what a series is. And anymore, they do this all the time. One of these shows that Sarah and I both watched was Stranger Things. And
I was gonna say that is about the most sci-fi. I don't like sci-fi very much, like sci-fi. But I love Stranger Things.
The characters. It's the characters, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
See, that's the deal with me, is it's characters.
They got some great kids that are able to perfectly portray the 80s. Like, they're just so good. But the Duffer Brothers are amazing.
Yeah. Did you watch any of the interview makings of Stranger Things? And that was kind of,
couldn't get enough of it, because it only comes once a year.
I know. Once it's over, like, I want more. Okay, I'll watch this. Kind of deal. But I have to say, when you brought it to my attention, and of course, if you're on Netflix or Hulu, they run these little trailers by you to see, and you watch the trailer, and it's like, not gonna watch
Yeah.
that, not
Oh
interested,
yeah.
and then you started watching it, and you wanted me to watch it, and so I bit the bullet, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
shit, and so I got caught up in it, and it wasn't so much the storyline, which was a little hokey to me, because I am a big sci-fi fan, and so if you are big sci-fi, you expect anymore they have done such impeccable storylines in sci-fi that they just blow you away. So if you're going to do a sci-fi, you better be really good at your storyline. And I was not impressed with their monster storyline, but by the end of the first season, I wanted to watch the second season, and then the characters, but I wanted to kind of see where they were taking this, and to me it did much better in the second season, and then I think you really liked the third one, but I was not impressed with the third season.
When I was watching the third one, I was like, this is amazing. This is good, just because I was excited to finally watch it.
Right.
And then once it was over, and now that I'm seeing the previews for the fourth and final, I'm like, the third was kind of a piece of crud in a way. It was just kind of like, that was not the best season. Like,
yeah.
And so this fourth one,
yeah.
oh man, it's so good. Actually, with Stranger Things, so the start of it for us was, so when the second season was coming out on Netflix, that's when it got popular. That's when it became a trend, basically. And I had noticed it, and I was like, Cameron, have you seen this? And he goes, oh yeah, I watched it when literally like the first week they released it on Netflix. I watched it back then. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
You watched this? And he goes, because I was like, I was like you, I was like, not my type. No. I don't feel godly watching this even, but it's the characters. The characters are so good.
And it's clean. It's clean. It's clean. And that is the clear deciding factor a lot of time, because there's so much crap out there, and there's so much stuff that they interject, and their agendas that they interject into these shows and kids shows, and what's supposed to be clean and what's supposed to be godly or whatever, and it's and especially stuff that they don't even, that isn't godly. It's unbelievable what's available to watch, and you don't even know it's going to be there until it just shows up. I can't even watch this. I can't even watch this.
Yep.
And that is one thing I did kind of like about Stranger Things, is that it was PG. It wasn't even PG-13. It was PG, and it was good. But anyway,
well, the title of it,
the monsters weren't that bad. What? So,
well, and it lays more in the, like, if you see the previews, you automatically think like possession and like demonic,
right?
But that's not. It's not. It's
not what it
monsters, and so for me, there's a difference in that, and why I am perfectly fine with it. Versus, because I even let my kids watch like Scooby-Doo, where it's you think one thing.
Yeah.
It's not that. And I feel like that's a good thought process, and I wasn't allowed to watch Scooby-Doo growing up. That was something that was not allowed.
Really? Give me your parents' phone number. Let me talk to them.
I actually have a lot of people that were very frustrated with me that I wasn't allowed to watch Lion King growing up. And I'm like, well, you you do the best you can when you're raising kids.
Well, I didn't watch it either, so no, it's true.
Have you seen the live action Lion King though?
I haven't seen the newest one.
It's
I've heard
okay.
that
So
it's real good.
I never saw Lion King. Like
Right.
28 years old, never saw Lion
Me
King.
neither. Go ahead.
And I was fine with it. I was like, I don't really care.
Yeah,
You know, my
right.
husband's
Okay.
obsessed with it, you
Uh-huh.
know, but then I decided, okay, well, let's go ahead and watch. It's not live action. It's computer generated.
Sure.
It looks live action. Well, I put it on, and yes, Joe, Scooby-Doo helps with thinking skills. But I put on The Lion King, and I was just like, this is an incredible story. Like, how cool is this story? So then I put on the animated ones with my kids, and we watched it. I was like, this is so cool. I'm
Cool.
28 years old going through a 2-year-old's mindset.
You bet. So do you recommend it then?
I recommend both Lion Kings. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I really like the whole thought process of, you know, there are bad people in your life, and yes, we run away from our problems, but it's not good to run away from our problems. We have to face our problems and become strong, because the problem that we ran away from is probably affecting a million people in our life. And if you have the ability to stop the problem, face it, because and in our lifetime, God is our stronghold, you know, and in this movie it's his dad who died. Um you know, he's talking to him up in the clouds, you know, and everything like that. But it's his father who is his strength within him to slay his uncle, who is you know, the bad guy in this, but he goes back and he restores the Pride Lands back to original how his father wanted them. So that's Lion King. That is exactly what Lion King is. And but not to go against my parents and how they raised me, but
Well, not at all. I'm glad you're setting your own standards now.
yeah.
But you do realize that those standards are based on your base standards that you grew up with. So
Yeah.
which is so good. It's so funny. I was thinking this morning and actually praying and getting ready for the show and everything, and it's like there is no parent alive that is more thrilled when their child. If you love the Lord, there is no greater pride or thrill for a parent than to have their children follow the Lord, and then to have their children follow the Lord to the point where you just know that that's the only life they know. And this is the way I feel. When people ask me about you, my response to them is she doesn't I don't think she could do any more to love the Lord. I already had that in my head. Now it won't come there. It's like, something like that. It's like she serves the Lord in such a way. I don't think there's anything she could do more. That she isn't already doing to serve the Lord.
I go to church twice a week. Like,
whatever,
can you love God more than going to church twice a week?
That has nothing to do with nothing, girl, at all. So anyway, Joe Cameron wrote in here Sarah Connor's character, the person's name's Linda Hamilton. 65, those things just don't come to me, and I didn't prepare for it. So anyway, yes, Joe, very good. She's said a couple things like, that's because you are a homeschool mama. And homeschool mamas think like their children while educating them good thing and good parental skills. So thank you, Joe.
Yep.
Yes, that's my daughter. Very good. Okay, so we're gonna move on, I guess. Here, hey, you wanted to mention real quickly before. Actually, I was going to do this earlier. So far, I checked this morning. There are 25 known dead, and still a lot of people missing from the tornado in the Nashville area. And so our hearts go out to these families in the area and all the devastation that's there. Sarah and I are very, very, very aware of tornadoes and what they can do and when they arrive. As a matter of fact, my daughter, though I love her and I think she's the most brilliant, wonderful, smartest person in the planet, lives in Moore, Oklahoma.
I sure do. And I love every second of it.
This is the girl that would not go in the tornado exhibit for what's the movie whatever in the theme park, Twister. The Twister exhibit in either Nickelodeon when we went or
Universal Studios.
Universal Studios. She wouldn't go in there. It scared her too much. She couldn't go in there. Now she lives in Moore, Oklahoma, which is the tornado capital of the world. And it's like, okie dokie. So, we lived, our house, so what Sarah grew up in was 2 miles south of the tornado that happened on May 20th. And I can't remember what year it was, May 20th, that just wiped out Moore, Oklahoma, literally. And we have a lot of friends that lost their homes and all kinds of devastation there in Moore, Oklahoma. We lived just 2 miles south of the edge of that tornado.
I watched it
when it happened. So what?
I watched it. I remember all of that going on, and I ran out to 36th Street. And I stood there and I watched and I saw that big wall cloud. I'm sitting on that was 2013.
13? Okay.
Because I was on the phone with Cameron and I was talking to Cameron. We were just dating at the time. And I was watching that wall cloud, and he was supposed to be going to Moore that day, I believe it was, but he got held back up in Norman. So I was talking to him on the phone, like, where are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I remember that.
And I was at work in North Oklahoma City, and we watched it all on the television. And I left early because we worked in North Oklahoma City, but lived south of Moore, which is you have North Oklahoma City, Moore, and Norman. And so I had to get from there to there. And the tornado went through there.
Yes.
And what usually took me 35 to 45 minutes to get home took me 5.5 hours that day to get home.
It took a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a rough one. So Sarah and I are familiar with it. And also she doesn't really remember, but the tornadoes that happened in our hometown.
I just remember sitting on that tree stump that the big one that fell over, and like Grandma and I sat there and just watched you guys on the house. I just remember watching that. And I remember a little bit coming home that night after Pesach, because it was after our Pesach Seder, and we were coming home. And
you remember that, huh? Wow.
I remember it being we drove by Casey's, and it was dark. It was so dark, and we were like, that's weird.
Yeah, well, I remember.
Yeah.
It was so funny because we had done the Passover Seder in a Quonset hut, And at the time we were at the hail, it was hailing.
Oh, it was so loud.
It was so loud we couldn't even hear us do the Passover Seder.
Mhm.
And it was just absolutely amazing. But the storm, we're used to storms and everything. And that's 30 miles from where we lived in Parsons, Kansas. And we didn't, of course, we cleaned up and everybody was left and we got the place all cleaned up and did what we had to do with the Tomlinsons and then drove home. And when we got to Parsons, which is a town of like 12,000, was black. I mean, just black. There was not one light on in Parsons when we got back and got home, and it was black. And, we didn't think a thing about it, didn't know a thing about it.
Yeah.
And we figured the electricity had come back on and everything. And so we all went to sleep, and my sister called at 7:30 the next morning, and I answered the phone. Of course, this is landlines back then. Answered the phone. First words out of her mouth is, "Mom and Dad's okay."
Awesome.
And I remember clear as if it was today. Okay, Mom and Dad's okay. Okay, well, that's cool. That's good.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Mark, we had a tornado. They got hit last night." And it was like, "What?" And she says, "Yeah, he says, I think they were over there or something like that." And so we all got real quick. And it took what usually takes us 5 minutes to get from our house to their house. Took us 20 minutes because we had to drive country roads way back around and come in from the other side and the whole thing. And they had made it to the storm cellar of the neighbors next door. And it's so funny because the windows were all blown out in the 2-story house that they lived in. But other than that, and a little bit of wind and debris damage on the house, which really wasn't a lot, you couldn't really tell. The trees were down, and I mean it was devastating. It was huge. You could see major damage, but the house was not really damaged. And the house where they were in the basement of the house, that house was demolished. But their house was still intact, basically. And I'll never forget that FEMA came out like they do every single house, and they check every single property and everything. And they totaled my parents' house because the house, as it sets, only just the whole thing turned 2 inches, about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. It took the house and just shifted it. The whole stinking house on the foundation. It's the concrete foundation. So no telling. If it had been, and most houses in Kansas have basements and stuff. Theirs didn't. Theirs was on a solid.
We didn't either.
Who knows what?
I said we didn't have a basement either. Wasn't there like a tree or something on top of the storm shelter entrance, and so it took you guys a while? Wasn't there something like blocking Grandma and Grandpa from getting out of the shelter?
I don't remember that.
Okay.
I don't remember. I know the house was about 3/4 destroyed. When we got there, that was one of the things, because on the block they lived in, which was on the absolute edge of town. Yeah. Here is the block and the road, 10th Street, 12th Street. 12th Street is right here. And then on the other side of 12th is fields. So literally they lived on the literal edge of the town. Yeah. And on that block, you had 2 houses on one end and an empty lot a house, my parents' house, and then the rest of the lots were empty. So
Yeah.
it came through and wiped out the house on either side of them and then just shifted their house. So what does my dad do? My dad goes out and he already owned the empty lot next door to their house. What's he do? He goes and buys a double wide mobile home, sets it on the lot, and tears down the 2-story house.
Yeah.
You just got annihilated by a tornado.
The trailer.
Double wide mobile home and set it right next door. It actually the lot that got wiped out. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, it's one thing I do remember is that my dad, the house had been assessed as 2-story house in Kansas, only assessed at like $27,000. My dad got $89,000 for in insurance. I don't remember what the deal was, but that's my dad. You know,
Yeah.
he knew all that stuff, knew how to do whatever it was. But anyway, it was quite the ordeal. So Sarah and I, we've lived through a few of them, you know, and so
Yeah.
we understand what's going on in Nashville, and our hearts and prayers go out to you. And
Checking on my friends. I know people that still live out there, and so
you know a lot of people in Nashville.
yeah.
A lot of people. I know Chris Frankie knows, so I'm sure he's been.
Yeah, they've been checking with. They know a lot of people. Yeah, but everybody they know, everybody I know is good. So that's good.
Good. All right. Well, that was quite the deal. Did you vote?
Yes, I did.
So everything go okay with your vote? Did you vote for Hillary?
Of course, that and Bernie, like they're my two favorites.
I remember who it was that sent me this past week, but Bernie Sanders has some major ties to Islam, to Muslims. So back off of that. I'm going to tell you one thing that really blew me away when I went to vote. And you get your paper, you lay it out there, you start looking over it, and the first thing you see is for president. And I'm looking at the Trump, and then you're looking, and Joe Walsh.
Oh yeah,
is on the ballot. Yeah, Sarah, please come on, Joe Walsh. You know the name, right?
Yeah, I know the name.
He's an old rock and roll star. Well, you know the Eagles. He's the guitar player for the Eagles. Is a Joe Walsh, and it's not the same guy. But I didn't know that a guy by the name of Joe Walsh, who is one of my old rock and roll idols from way back. Still love his music, but so I'm looking at the deal as I see Trump, and then I look down. What? Joe Walsh running for president? No way, man! Joe Walsh running, dude. I'm vote for Joe. You know, no,
that's funny.
I didn't vote for Joe. I voted for Trump. But
yeah, same here. There was one proposition.
What?
There was only one proposition for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
It was so we finally have liquor in Walmart and Crest. We never had that until October of last year.
Okay.
2018. 2018 is when we finally got liquor in Oklahoma in grocery stores, which you can buy alcohol at restaurants or at the liquor store, or at grocery store on Sundays, but you can't at a liquor store. So still in Oklahoma. And so the proposition was, I believe it was to get that changed so that liquor store, you can buy alcohol from a liquor store on Sunday. So Cameron's in Israel and he's my guidance on all of this. And so I'm like, we got one proposition. What do I do? I said, I'm thinking, yes, make it fair, if you will, you know, like
Uh,
that we can buy it in stores, but liquor stores can't be open. So,
Uh-huh.
anyways,
we're almost done. We're almost done.
so yeah, we voted yes, that make that equal. He can come in.
He can come in. We're almost done.
Come here.
Oh, I'm a whiny little baby. Oh, hello.
You're a poopy little baby.
Oh. Shepherdhead.
Hi.
Hi, Shepherdhead. Grandpa. It's Grandpa. Grandpa. Sure it is. Sure it is.
Are you wearing your blippy pajamas?
Pajamas. Hey, everybody. This is my grand. Oh, the whiny little baby. Well,
Turn it off.
well, you know what? If I was sitting on a pile of poop, I probably would have that face too.
Yeah, this is wild hair shepherd. Here, shepherd, look over here. What's over here? What's over here?
Look over there. Yeah.
He needs a haircut.
Oh, here we go. See?
Yeah, there we go. Look, Grandpa's got crazy hair too.
Here. No. It's my shepherd do. There, he's smiling now.
I know.
So.
Do you have any favorite shows? What's your favorite show?
Super Y.
Super Y.
What is it?
I want Super Y.
He likes Super Y. It's a cute little educational show. That's your favorite? And is your favorite movie Elsa?
Mom, I want I favorite show.
Oh, you want to stick with shows?
I pick.
Oh, you're going to pick?
I TV.
Oh, the TV.
I want Super Y.
Super Y. Okay.
Quiet.
Quiet. He's going to watch it.
Okay.
I watch it.
You want everybody to be quiet while you watch it?
That's Super Y.
But he has been, his favorite movie right now is Frozen. It's Elsa.
The new one?
He hasn't seen the new one yet, but he'll watch Frozen every day if I let him.
Okay. What about you? Have you seen the new one yet?
No.
Good. I'm surprised. It's out on DVD.
Yeah, we don't have girls, and so I wasn't that excited, except he just like within the last month has been obsessed with Frozen.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
So oh shoot, what was I just gonna say? I was gonna say yeah.
So do you recommend Frozen?
Oh yeah.
Do you?
The first one is so good. I love the sister relation. It's not so much about the love, you know, the guy and the girl.
Yeah.
It's all about the sisterhood, you know, and that's different, and I like that. Stop. Where's your nose? Oh, stop. Where's your nose?
Right here.
Oh, is this your nose?
No.
Is this your nose? Oh, that's your head.
That's my nose right there.
Nose.
What?
That's not your nose.
That's my nose. This is my nose right here. Right there. That's my nose.
So you love Super Y and you love Frozen. Those are your favorite movies and your favorite shows.
One Super Y.
Oh.
One, two.
Oh, do you like my shirt? I got a new word shirt today.
I thought, yeah. Yeah.
So
I
got everybody liked my shirt last time. This
Uh-huh.
one, I got 99 problems, and my toddler single-handedly created 98 of them in 27 minutes.
Not one of them are real problems. That's right.
Well, that's his
All
favorite things to watch.
All right. Okay. Well, we're gonna knock this one down. Okay. So are you gonna be on with me next week?
Next week?
Well, when I asked him if you wanted to be on this week, he said this week or next week. So
Right.
you were open next week too. So if you want to and can, let me know, and we're good with it.
Sure.
All right. We're out of here. I got things to do. I'm passing kidney stones today. Whatever.
Yep.
I guess everybody needed to know that. But it's been a rough couple of weeks. Believe me, this is pretty awesome when you can do it. For me, anyway. So, all right, everybody. Sweetheart, Sarah, thank you very much for coming on and
Yeah.
some fun stuff. And so we've just been talking. Just been talking. That's all there is to it. So, all right, everybody, y'all have a great week, and Shavua Tov, and we will see you next week. I have no idea. I'll be here. I have no idea who else will be here next week. So we got to go. Susan's here.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.